Noles All Access is brought to you by the energy-saving conservation programs of Tico People's Gas. Real Coca-Cola taste with 0 sugar and 0 calories. Coca-Cola Zero Sugar. Taste the feeling. Welcome to Noles All Access, where we take you inside Florida State athletics. I'm Jay Sutton, and today we'll talk with head coach Leonard Hamilton to recap the wins against NC State and Louisville. Then we'll meet 2 devoted FSU women's basketball fans who have an incredible story to tell. And later, assistant coach CHARLTON Young joins us for a special interview. All that and much more is up ahead on Noles All Access. All right, Coach, the Noles were able to stack 2 more wins to the resume with 1 on the road and 1 at home. But let's start with the win on the road against NC State. And to me, it looked like NC State came out a little more aggressive in this game with their dribble penetration to get into the basket, got you all in foul trouble a little early. But the second half, you all came out in that zone and kind of got them out of rhythm and controlled the glass in the second half as well. But what did you see in the NC State game?
Well, there's no doubt when you go on the road in the ACC, you have to be ready for just about everything. And if you're not, something bad can happen to you. And I thought that they had a great game plan to be extremely aggressive with us. And we have, even though we block a lot of shots, we don't have the deterrent of a rim protector as we have had in the past. And if I remember correctly, at one point, I think we had 9 fouls to 0. And so we were being aggressive, and I don't know whether we were overly aggressive or not, but we put them on the foul line. The second half, I thought we contained the dribble much better. We only played a limited possessions of zone defense, but I thought that it changed the tempo of the game and the rhythm from an offensive standpoint, from their standpoint. And I think what happened was they were surprised because we never used zone defense. That's just not part of our DNA, but we thought the change was necessary in this particular situation. Our offense was clicking a little better, and they were not quite as focused on the same level of execution that they had in the first half in driving and attacking the basket. And we got a little bit better offensive rhythm, and it's basically nip and tuck. For the majority of the game, we might have been up like 6 or 7 points, and then we were able to extend the lead a little bit more toward the end when they had to start fouling us and we were making our free throws. Well,
let's talk about that Louisville game because that was another impressive win at home. And I feel that Louisville came out, they played well defensively in the first half, and it seemed like they had an answer for every bucket that you all were able to get. And I think they led by 12 in the second half, but you were able to still walk away with a 15-point victory. So how are you all able to turn the tide in that game?
Louisville has an excellent basketball team, and they were on point in terms of how they executed their game plan. And we were not attacking the basket. We were not being as aggressive for whatever the reason was. In the second half, I thought we adjusted to doing a much better job containing the dribble. I thought we moved the ball offensively and got higher percentage shots. And I thought we were able to make them, and we were able to extend the lead. And I think once we got to that point, we became more and more aggressive on the offensive end, and I thought that really made a big difference.
Were you aware that the dunk that Trent Forrest had over Jordan Ward in the second half, were you aware that that was on SportsCenter top 10 plays?
No, I did not. And that was 2 points as far as I'm concerned. That's part of the game. And I think the fans enjoy that. And I think we got our bench and our team kind of energized a little bit. But the most important thing that he finished the play and we got the foul and went to the free throw line. I'm excited because our players are energized, but in reality, I get excited when the buzzer sounds and I'm up at least a half a point.
A half a point, half a point. Well, the team was energized and the crowd was energized, Coach, and I had a headache. It was absolutely ridiculous in there. But I want to ask you, you've been around the block a few times and you've played in a lot of games, a lot of big games. How does that crowd rank as far as loudness as all the games that you've been a part
Well,
of?
there's no doubt that our fans have been tremendously supportive, and they've played an integral part of this journey that we've been on. The fact that we've only lost 3 games in a number of years says a lot about the support and how much of an impact the fans have on motivating our guys and creating that sense of pride that they want to represent. But I have to say that when the game was over and we had played fairly well, I was on to saying, who's next? Yeah. And I try to stay in the moment and keep everything in perspective. I've been very fortunate in my career to have gone to several Final Fours, 3 Final Fours, won a national title, how many conference championships and NCAA trips. We want our guys to reach their full potential. And I keep telling our staff, the cake's still in the oven. You know, we still baking, and we still got more hikes to climb. We want to stay focused and not get caught up and celebrate before it's time.
Yeah, and you know, something tells me that they aren't going to be quiet in Clemson, which is the next game. Something tells me that crowd is going to bring it too. So let's talk about that game a little bit later in the show. So stick around for that and much more coming up right here on Noles All Access. Coming up, we'll meet John and ALESIA Pride, whose love for Florida State basketball brought them together.
Love, family, support. Values on which John and ALESIA Pride have built their relationship. And it all goes back to when they first met.
We both work for the Florida Department of Revenue. And actually we met over the telephone. And without me knowing, he liked my voice over the phone. But I had no idea.
Years passed, yet their budding love affair still hadn't blossomed.
Kept a secret for 15 years. Had no idea the guy was liking me. And I kept hearing little rumors that he liked me, but I went on about my business.
Well, you found out I like to go to the women's basketball game. I had no idea that she liked basketball and didn't know that she actually played basketball in high school.
Just like their shared love for basketball, their love for each other grew.
So it was sort of our first date. It was at a FSU women's basketball game. So I would buy her a ticket and it just went from there. It was unreal, really. I didn't know it was gonna happen. You know, I felt fine going into the bathroom. Then all of a sudden, it just happened, and I just praise God that those paramedics were there on the spot.
Minutes after the Seminoles defeated Samford in a thrilling matchup, tragically, John suffered a stroke.
I was wondering what took him so long to come out, and I was standing outside, and he came out, and I asked him what took him so long, and a paramedic was standing outside the door, and he fell into my arms.
It was one of those things where I was shocked, but very thankful that the people around at that time knew him, took care of him. I mean, season ticket holders that are now taking him to the hospital really saved his life.
While John was recovering in the hospital, the Seminole season kept rolling, but the thoughts of the Prides never left Sue and the team's minds.
Even after the couple of days he was in the hospital, she even called wherever they were. I think they were out in Iowa or somewhere. She called and she said they were playing terrible. And she called a timeout and she said, if you all don't want to win this game tonight for yourselves, win it for Mr. John. And they went in and they played so hard that last quarter and they won the game for him.
Just a few short days after John's emergency trip to the hospital, the Prides were back home in their seats of Section 113.
That was a traumatic experience, and for them to want to come back and be in that situation again just shows the loyalty that they have and the love they have for our program.
There's not much that will stop the Prides from supporting the Noles on and off the court, not even a medical emergency.
Every game.
Every game. We don't miss a game. We do not miss a game.
I'm Allie Rubenstein for Noles All Access.
Coming up, I'll sit down with assistant coach Charlton Young.
What's happening, Seminole fans? It's a jam-packed week with sports ranging from the diamond to the court. I'm Tucker Pierce, and here's what's happening this week in Seminole athletics. Florida State baseball continues their homestand this weekend as they take on Florida Atlantic and Texas Tech in a round-robin series before going on the road Tuesday to take on Mercer and Macon, Georgia. Seminole softball will continue a stretch of games this weekend in the Arkansas WOOO Pig Classic. The Noles then travel back home to take on Holy Cross on Tuesday. First pitch is at 6 o'clock. Moving on to the basketball court, the women cap off the season with their final game at home against Notre Dame on Sunday. Tip-off is at 2 p.m. Switching over to men's, FSU will be tested on the road with two big matchups this week. The Noles will travel to Clemson to take on the Tigers today before traveling up to South Bend to face Notre Dame in their last road game of the season on Wednesday. All right, Seminole fans, a lot of great matchups going on this week. Go to Seminoles.com to stay up to date on all the action. I'm Tucker Pierce with Noles All Access.
Well, Coach, it's nice to meet you. We're going to talk about your role with the team and everything that you do here, but we want to get to know you a little bit first. And to start off, I have a question, a personal question, because I did a little research and I saw that you were a heck of a ball player. I want to know how that happened, how you got good at basketball growing up in Miami. And in Miami, once a baby is born, they give them a football.
Football, see.
So how did that happen?
Up until about the 8th grade, I was a football baby also. I was playing both. And my mama, Betty Young, made an executive decision. I broke my wrist in my 8th grade year, going in 9th grade year. And she said, that's it. You playing basketball.
Shut it down.
Yeah, that's how that went. It was a simple deal. But I came out during a time where Miami basketball was just becoming a national deal. I played at Miami Carroll City, which we had 10 D1 players on one team. And at the time, people think I'm crazy when I tell them this, but Carroll City would play Miami High in 88 and 89, and we would draw more than the Miami Heat. Miami Heat had just started in 87, 88.
Wow.
And they weren't very good,
Yeah.
and they were just building the organization. And our high school games had to be played in the arena. So I came during the glory time of Miami high school basketball that kind of really started it on a national level.
And you went to play for Georgia Southern, and you were a good ball player there. You played with some guys that went on and played in the NBA. Can you talk about that experience there?
Yeah, I signed when I came out of high school. I was kind of a role guy, late bloomer, and then and Georgia Southern had been recruiting me since I was a freshman. A guy by the name of Robbie Lang, who's an assistant now at Central Florida, was like, we had an unbelievable relationship. To this day, we're still very, very close. Our bond was so good, I just couldn't turn my back on Robbie Lang and Georgia Southern, and I felt like I could win there. And I can get to the NCAA tournament there. So it was a best decision I ever made. If I had to do it again, I would do it again, signing with Georgia Southern and Frank Kearns and Robbie Lang. And I wound up being the first African-American head coach there in the history of sports there. And I'm proud of that.
One coach of the year.
Yeah, I'm proud of that. And just that decision to go somewhere where they were loyal to me. And so it worked out really good.
But, fast forward many years later, you've been with Coach Hamilton for a while now.
7 years.
7 years. Can you just talk about what you all have been able to build here and your role as assistant coach and what you do in recruiting and developing players and talent here?
Well, it's a very special thing. The last 7 years, we've really
taking a jump as an elite basketball program. You know, a lot of people don't realize it's been about 4 or 5 years where we've been consistently in the top 10. We at the point where we want to win a national title. We think we can make ourselves a blue blood right here in Tallahassee. I tell Chief all the time, if the Florida Gators can win 2 national championships in Gainesville, Florida, we can win 2 national championships here in Tallahassee, Florida. And I think he's on fire to do that, you know. I don't see him stopping anytime soon, and he deserves it. He's worked his butt off building programs that didn't have the resources that these top programs that we're competing against, you know. Administration, our president, our AD, I mean, these guys have been phenomenal in supporting basketball and making us understand that, hey, I don't care what you hear about just this being just a football situation. We support you guys. We love basketball, and we want to win. And that's really changed things here.
Well, the last thing I want to ask you, you said that the perception is changing, and you're having that conversation about winning national championships. And you said, you know, they won 2 in Gainesville. Why can't we do it here in Tallahassee? So what I want to ask you is, do you feel like this could be the year?
No question, no question. The approach that we're taking this year is that, and our kids are the driving force behind it, is that we got to get a #1 seed. If we can get a #1 seed, that really puts you in a situation where you can win a national title. We've been a 3 or 4, which means we got to go to California and beat Gonzaga on their home court. That's tough, you know, but if you get a 1 seed, now we can stay in the South, we stay at home, maybe we get an easier walk right into the Sweet 16. So if we can keep this head of steam that we got right now, we definitely have a chance to win it this year.
Wow. Well, Coach, you got me excited. I'm pumped up. It was a pleasure meeting you.
Nice to meet you, too.
I want to be a part of the team. I'm 6'5". Y'all got room? You got space?
Shoot it.
Well, I got 6 good fouls.
6
I can
good
foul
fouls,
really
be
hard.
physical. I got a role for you.
Okay, all right, I appreciate that. Coming up, we'll preview the upcoming matchup against Clemson. Well, Coach, the last time that you all faced Clemson, you were able to get a 19-point victory at home. But this team has been playing well as of late. I think they won 3 of the last 4 games, and as they like to say, they're clicking at the right time. So what should we expect this second time around, and how can you all duplicate the success that you had against them early in the season?
What's going on with Clemson now is that they're playing excellent basketball. There's no doubt about that. And I think they went on the road against Boston College and shot something ridiculous, like maybe 68% from the floor or 60% somewhere with a high of field goal percentage, which means they're executing very well. They beat a very good Duke team, and they beat a very good Louisville team. And so they are not going to be intimidated by anyone, and they're at home, and everyone's trying to jockey for position to try to pad their resumes to try to get to the NCAA tournament if at all possible. And mathematically, it probably is still possible for them to make that run. So we know we're going to get their best shot. We're going to get them at their very, very best. This is an opportunity for them to pad their resume. The fans are going to be involved, the student body, the players, the coaches, the band. It's going to be rocking and rolling in Little John Coliseum. There's no doubt about that. Now what we have to do is find a way to just go out and be who we are. So we're going to stay focused and make sure that we go in and be together as a team, because they in probably what you might call almost a desperate situation.
Coach, one thing I've learned from you is you always say control what you can control, right?
Yes.
Well, there's a rumor going around that if you all can win the rest of your games, that you would control the regular season ACC title. Is that something that you think about in the slightest bit?
Well, there's no doubt that you have that in the far away distance in your mind as a possibility. But in order for that to become a reality, you have to, like, once again, control that which you can control. That's our preparation today in practice. And I can't worry about Saturday until I take care of Thursday. But if we do a good job taking care of Thursday, that means that you're gonna be better prepared for Friday. If you take care of business on Friday in your preparation, that gives you the best opportunity to go out and be successful on Saturday. That's the one day at a time approach, and that works for us. That's what we've been doing all year. We don't get too high when things don't go, too low when things don't go well for us, and we don't try to get too high when things are going good.
Well, fans, I know what you all can control. You can control checking out the Noles as they take on Clemson and as they take on Notre Dame on Wednesday. So thanks as always, Coach. For Coach Hamilton, I'm Jay Sutton, and we'll see you next week on Noles All Access. Noles All Access is brought to you by the energy-saving conservation programs of TECO People's Gas. Real Coca-Cola taste with 0 sugar and 0 calories. Coca-Cola Zero Sugar. Taste the feeling.